Well, thank you all for tuning in to the Carolina Business Leaders Podcast, where we share the stories of local business leaders and impact makers who are community focused and deeply rooted in the Carolinas. Today's guest is Taylor Davis, president of NHE Inc, a multi-unit property and community association management firm committed to improving homes and lives every day. So Taylor, thanks for joining us today.
Pleasure to be here.
I don't know, I'm sure you are aware of this, but our HOA is run through your company. So.
Used to be.
Oh, used to. Okay, I guess not anymore.
NHE sounded so familiar. When we found out we were working with you today or interviewing you, I told Heath, I'm like, at some point I know NHE was involved with this time.
Yeah, we were up until maybe a year or so.
Okay. All right, that's good to know. We didn't.
Well, from my experience, it was great, so I'll give you that.
No worries. It's managing homeowners associations by far, without a doubt, hardest thing we do at NHE.
Really?
Wow.
Why is it so difficult? Just a lot of upkeep with it? Or?
It's a different mentality, than managing an apartment community where you may have 200 renters than a community where you're dealing with owners.
Yeah.
And
different mindset.
Yeah, it's just a little different, and your boss is an elected board of volunteers that.
We learned a lot about that.
Yeah. So it's just kind of similar to any business that is very outward facing, dealing with the general public.
If you're running a small to mid-sized business, you know there's simply not enough hours in a day to take care of all of your business needs. From managing health insurance to payroll, procurement, advertising, you're going to need some help to get that initial momentum going. That's why I would partner with Questco. They take care of all the behind-the-scenes administrative and HR work, letting you focus on what truly matters, which is running your business. That's Questco, Questco. Visit Questco.net or call your local Questco representative, Thomas Owens, at 864-477-0843 to get started today.
But something we've been doing for 25 years.
Nice.
So enjoy doing.
So you've been with the company for
30 years.
A while.
30,
you claimed to have started when you were around 13 or 14, unofficially.
Unofficially. My real start date was 30 years ago, I think about 2 weeks ago in early June.
Amazing.
I hit my 30-year mark.
Congratulations.
It's really strange.
How's it strange?
It makes me feel old.
Time flies.
30 years is a long time, and it just doesn't feel possible. But then when you think about it, lots happened in 30 years, and it is something I'm proud of.
Sure. So could you share with our audience, for those that don't know what NHE is? We're familiar, but what is it? What's your mission, your services? What are y'all doing?
So we're in the housing space. We predominantly do two things, and then we have a few other things that are kind of tangential. If I pronounce that correctly, we manage all types of multifamily housing, apartment communities, from market rate, brand new luxury Class A, through the spectrum of affordable housing, whether just income or rent restricted housing, and all the way to rent subsidized housing. And that's what we've been doing for some 40 years. And have grown over the last.
And your parents started the company?
My mother and father started it 54 years ago. So the N stands for Nancy, the H stands for Harris. That's mom and dad.
Oh, nice.
I appreciate that. I work in a family business, so that's very sweet.
Yeah, so grew up, I have 3 siblings, and we all grew up. And my father was he was a home builder. He was an appraiser. Obviously became a property manager at some point along the way. He developed probably about 15 residential subdivisions in Orangeburg, where I'm from.
Okay.
He managed the shopping mall that they also helped develop. So a little bit of everything. Growing up in a small town,
So you grew up in Orangeburg?
I did.
Okay, nice. And that's where the company originated?
It's where we originated and where we still have quite a bit of business today. But our corporate office we had a corporate office there till about 10 years ago, which we closed.
Yeah. Okay. So when you look back on your career, obviously with NHE, and your time as a 13, 14-year-old, first starting out, first learning about the family business, what were some of those initial roles, and what was your, learning experience like at that age?
Well, there's really nothing formative in the gigs starting. That my dad was he had high expectations and did not believe in having teenagers with lots of free time. So
That's good.
that's fair.
And also just the value of a hard day's work,
Nice.
labor. And so I don't know that I took anything away from those teenage years other than I don't want to do this for forever. But, started out, my 2 teenage sons had lots of experience with this. There's always lots of trash to pick up.
So were you doing like manual labor?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So at the time, we managed some shopping centers in Orangeburg, kind of in my teenage years, and some apartment communities, and I would just get dropped off or drive from one to the other and pick up trash, paint light poles, help the maintenance team do a trash out. Sometimes we have people that leave our apartments that don't leave it in.
That's cool. One of our guests, Julio Hernandez, he had said on the podcast, my parents didn't have a lot of money, but they did instill in me a good work ethic. And that was like the biggest thing that he got out of it. And he still carries that today, and obviously he's doing incredible things and making a huge impact. But it sounds like you have a very relatable story, and that just a strong work ethic at a young age.
It's more important than anything else, isn't it? I mean, if you don't have a strong work ethic, I don't care how smart you are or how good at networking you are. If you're not going to outwork your peers, then you're going to be capped in the success you're going to have.
It's hard to be successful without a good work ethic.
It's not possible.
You're going to have to get really lucky.
Yeah, exactly.
It's very lucky. Lottery ticket somehow.
Yeah, that always helps.
Another podcast guest, actually, Marty Osborne, says hard work never gets old. So you've got to work hard, and that's no matter how much AI and technology and ChatGPT and all the things come into play, hard work is never going to get old. So I love that saying. But with that being said, again, I appreciate the family business aspect being in that. But you started at a young age helping out, and eventually you started full time. So when you did start full time, what was your very first position with the company? What were you assigned to do?
So my first job in June of 1995, I wasn't even the assistant manager. I was just the office assistant at Pine Ridge Elderly Housing in Summerville, South Carolina, and moved into my parents' home where I lived the first 2.5 years of working for them as well.
Okay,
Nice.
Which was
a lot of time together.
which was actually wonderful.
I love that. Yeah.
In college, where I went to Furman here in Greenville, and hung around for a year after I graduated. So there was about a 5-year stretch where I wasn't going home really at all. I didn't go back during any summers or anything. So it was nice. So that was my first job. I did that for about six months. I got a crash course in elderly housing, where I think my 3rd day on the job, I had to knock on a resident's door that had not been in contact for a while, and she had recently passed away. And
that's hard.
Yeah, that was not what I was expecting on that day. But elderly housing for low income seniors is what at one point we did more than anything else. And we do manage more, I believe this is still an accurate statement, more low-income housing for the elderly than any other company in South
Is that
Carolina.
kind of like y'all's niche?
It's now not the most significant thing we do from a revenue standpoint, but it's, I'd say in our industry, we have a reputation of having done that for a long time. And we have another component of our company where we employ about 70 essentially social workers that work inside an elderly building that has some type of HUD rental subsidy, serving the poorest of the poor of our communities. Gandy Almond here in Greenville is one that we manage that's in downtown Greenville.
So when you look back at your very first jobs with NHE, and now you look at your day-to-day responsibilities, how does that contrast? How does that compare and contrast to before?
That's a good question. I mean, when you don't know what you don't know, that's when you look back, it's maybe I'm surprised I didn't quit. It was I think my first real job with the company in 1995 at Pine Ridge was making like $8.25 an hour, and I had peers from.
Could you have quit with your parents being?
Sure, I could have. I just would have had to go get another job.
Yeah, exactly.
I think that was also a motivator. I mean, I knew I wanted to be in real estate. property management, it's a more of a people business, I think, than probably any other real estate discipline, just from the volume. All or most areas of real estate, you interact with lots of people, but when you manage, we have tens of thousands of people that live or have some interaction with what we do at NHE. That's actually was a positive even way back when. I like the idea of interacting with a lot of different people from all walks of life.
Yeah, I love it. There's a couple things when you think about family businesses, and one is transitioning a business from one generation to the next. We actually had a guest on here recently who is an attorney and works with exit planning and transitioning businesses, and so that's a whole process, and I get to work on that some. But with that being said, what did that transition look like from your parents' generation to you? It's a big process.
Yeah, it was long. I have 3 other siblings. Only one of my siblings has never worked in the family business.
And no interest whatsoever.
No interest. He's the only one that that lives in Orangeburg.
I get it.
And he's a real estate appraiser.
Yeah, I get it.
He never wanted to go down that path. With my dad was a stereotypical first generation entrepreneur. Just he lived and breathed, and it was he didn't have a lot of hobbies. He worked.
That was his life,
build the
right?
business,
And most of his close friends were work friends and acquaintances, and he was I hit the jackpot with him as a dad and a mentor and boss.
Was it difficult as a kid, like with the family being so centered on work and building this business?
I didn't, other than being on the way to somewhere, and my dad would detour to go look at a property or drive. He liked land. He developed many residential subdivisions in Orangeburg, which starts with just land. And so he liked to drive his Lincoln Town car all over land that you probably should have been in a pickup truck, which you never had. So other than that being annoying when you're wanting to get home, and he didn't exactly ask for a vote on if I can detour an hour out of the way. Like we'd be going to the beach, and he'd have to go through Manning and Sumter to look at little properties along the way. And so beyond that, I was a typical kid. Nice. I wasn't thinking about what my dad did or my future.
It was normal
anything.
to ride around.
It's all I knew.
Exactly.
That's good.
But it was it was more later where deciding to. And my father, one of the only things back in that time that I talked him out of is he was adamant when I got out of college that I needed to go work for somebody else.
Yes, yeah.
And and he could help with that effort. But I was just adamant that I wanted to move back home and start working.
But you had that 1 year gap between Furman.
Yeah, that was more play. Living in I've worked in a couple server, waiter kind of gigs. Right. But just to give you an idea of how Greenville is different, I live with another waiter, or actually I think he was a bartender. There's a little apartment above Trios in downtown Greenville, and which Trios was pretty new in the mid 90s, and nice. I lived right there and worked at Annie's, which is where Trattoria Giorgio has been for 25 years. It used to be Annie's, which was a vegetarian restaurant, so it was a little
one of the few, right?
And it was very successful.
That's cool. That's a fun, exactly.
So everyone that worked in food service lived near downtown or in downtown.
Yeah, that's convenient.
And the rent was, a couple $100 a month.
Yeah. Real quick, though, I want to take it back to the transition, though, from your father to you with the business.
So it was difficult.
Yeah.
It was my dad was just really emotionally attached to it. He didn't really want to retire. Just physically, his the age and just didn't become possible to continue. And it was ready. It was my time, I guess. And my mother, who actually owned the majority of the company, she was a little more analytical and just what's the number.
Nice.
And my dad, he kind of had a tendency to move the goalpost a little bit. And so it took about 10 years.
Wow.
But my younger brother at his wedding about 10 years ago, at that time, we'd kind of, I guess, been at a little bit of an impasse. And we after the rehearsal dinner, after some libations, we sat down for maybe 30 minutes, just the two of us, and hammered out the deal points and shook hands, and that's what we closed on about 6 months later.
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
So it ended up having a cool story at the end, but it was challenging. My dad, he was a different breed. He was hardcore.
I can see the attachment to it.
And mostly amazingly awesome, positive way.
Sure.
Great. Well, since you've taken over, there's been some expansions. You've obviously come to Greenville. You're expanding across the upstate. Can you just explain a little bit about your mindset going into that strategic just growth, or how you've approached growth since taking over?
Well, I'd say I'd start back. So I moved back to Greenville in 1998. For a number of years, I went back and forth between Orangeburg and Columbia for a number of years, probably 5 to 7, 2-3 times a week, back and forth. But I really fell in love with Greenville in the early 90s, going to school here, although it was very different than what it's become. You could just see things happening.
Sure.
And then BMW announced in 95, I think, and I started coming up here more just for business reasons. And I'm like, wow, I can just live here. Let's see what happens. Maybe there'll be more opportunity. That was a question. Yeah. In hindsight, it's of course, that was probably the most important decision I made professionally was to move here.
Sure.
25 years ago. So, and you could things were happening, and just over time, whether it was a condo association that we, started managing, or different apartment communities. It was more, I think, it put me in the right place for opportunities to come, which really came steadily but kind of slowly over the course of a pretty long period of time. So there was not one thing that happened 15 years ago that
How did you learn the accounting or finance aspect of it? Did you study business in school, or did you learn that from your family, or just experience?
That's a great question. I have a great answer too. So I majored in Spanish at Furman.
Do you speak Spanish?
I do not.
Oh my gosh!
We just returned from my wife and I and some of my other family. We just earlier this month were in Spain.
Very
First
good.
time
Nice.
I've been back. I did a foreign study at Furman in 1992. Right after the Barcelona Olympics, lived there for 4 months and had an amazing experience. And so I just returned to just a lot of places that I was in 1992, 33 years ago. Had a great time, but no, I do not speak Spanish.
You speak a little bit, but not enough for the podcast.
It's definitely not enough for the podcast. So no accounting, no business classes. It was about, graduating and having fun on the way. And if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't do a thing different. I had a great college experience, and then moved to Orangeburg, was working for my father. We were a very, very small company at that time. And our controller, who had been with my father for about 8-9 years, left to go work for someone that she still works there still today. And my dad, again, I've probably been there 6 months maybe, and he just walked into, I wouldn't even call it an office, it was more of kind of the closet that we converted for me to have some walls and a door, and said, well, you're now the controller, you probably need to sign up for some accounting classes at Orangeburg Calhoun Technical College. So I did take, over the course of that maybe year or two, 3 or 4 accounting courses at OC Tech, and actually had some great professors there, and gave me some foundation. But
that's great because you're seeing the practicality or the application on the job.
It was really good because I mean, while I was getting these courses, I was responsible for our P&Ls and payroll.
Nice,
and so
we got better learn this. I better study today.
It was, we ran payroll like we did it all in-house. And, of course, these were live checks.
Yeah.
And it had the Okadata printer. Y'all might be too young to even know what that is. But it's what checks would often, you'd kind of run and have the holes at the end that were perforated. And anyway, we'd run payroll every Wednesday. And if there was a jam, like you'd be there till practically midnight.
Trying to fix it.
Yeah. Things that you look back and you laugh, it's like, wow, we haven't done payroll in-house in 20 years.
Really?
Nice. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Electronic. Everything's electronic.
easy something.
Yeah,
and we haven't sent a live check in probably 10.
It's not as complicated.
Technology is obviously over my careers.
Right.
It's continues to have more and more impact in all kinds of areas.
Well, NHE has ranked among the top places to work in South Carolina over several years. So tell us a little bit about the culture and how you were awarded that, because that's a big deal.
Yeah, it's something we're very proud of because it is based on feedback from your employees. So it's confidential. So it's kind of hard to influence and really we've been, I think, receiving some of those awards for maybe 5 or 6 years. And just before that, we started our own employee survey using an HR platform that we've been on for maybe 7 or 8 years. And so getting that feedback was very helpful. So what is the culture at NHE? Man, that's a tough question to answer. I mean, I have my perspective, but you'd certainly get some different perspectives if you polled our employees. But I do think, it's a place where it's, a little bit of work hard, play hard.
Sure.
We, in action, try to demonstrate that, your job shouldn't be the most important thing in your life. People have things happen that, all the time. I mean, we have 450 employees, and every week there's some hardship that an employee is dealing with that, you move heaven and earth to accommodate. So I think we do a good job with that. But we do expect a lot too.
What is your mindset or strategy for handling maybe obstacles that come up that are out of your control?
Do something. I think that's maybe one lesson. Because you focus on the things you can control. You aren't gonna if you spend all your time worrying about or even talking about the things you have no control over, that you need to have an awareness of what those things are, and that might influence how you pivot in what you can control. But in my experience, doing nothing.
It's not going to turn out very well. I agree. You don't want to be passive at all.
Yeah, I'd rather my teammates make a mistake. Yeah.
Well, that way you learn too.
It's the best.
Whereas if you did nothing, then there's not really a lesson learned. Like, I should have done that, but there's nothing really to practice. I guess no practicality of it. So, but I would love to hear your opinion on the Greenville housing market. Has obviously changed drastically over the past 5 years or so.
Yeah.
What are some of the areas or places that I don't know if you can share all of this, where you think, hey, this is a great investment, maybe not, or just some cool initiatives you've seen across Greenville, or just your general opinions on the market lately?
Well, I remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago, there was a new apartment community in Fountain Inn being proposed with a pretty high unit count. And when I heard that, I'm like, there's no way that'll be successful.
Fountain Inn, it's like 5-minute drive.
And man, I was wrong. Wow. So, so to take that with a grain of salt, sometimes I think I do see maybe something coming, or maybe before maybe the general public is aware, or you can just kind of feel it. And in some cases, you just totally miss. Greenville or our area, we're very lucky. There's really not like an area that I would say you should avoid, or I mean, it depends on if you're talking about apartments or single family, home ownership or retail property.
That's cool to see the growth out in Fountain Inn. Even I mean, all the outskirts are popping up as well.
Simpson. We've had a lot of we have a big presence in the Simpsonville area. Some affordable. We developed a property in almost half a mile from downtown Simpsonville that's done really well, and we have a few other market rate communities like the Cotton Mill that just are really doing well. I mean, Simpsonville has really become kind of the hot place. I mean, and that's not new. Simpsonville's been hot for a while, but you can see the quality of life. You know, like if I needed to live in Simpsonville or Fountain Inn or Powdersville or TR. I mean, these are all great places that have something to offer. So, I mean, I think from a multifamily standpoint, you know, we people would probably think this is crazy to say, but we don't have enough multifamily housing, especially the forecast for the next few years. You know, if you really pay attention or think about the number of apartment communities under construction today, it's not that many. You know, 2 years ago, you would have needed all of your hands.
They were all over the place.
Some more. So, and people are still moving here, and pretty consistent numbers. And of course, that's fueling everything. You know, we don't do anything development-wise or investment-wise on the single-family, you know, for sale product. But you know, managing homeowners associations, we get an exposure to that market through that activity. And certainly, one trend that is significant is the size of these communities. You know, 20 years ago, when we would get an opportunity to manage an HOA that had more than 200 homes in it,
that was a big deal.
That was a nice size one. That was kind of about that was the big segment or the top end, I guess, from a size standpoint. Now, you know, there are 500, 800. We have, I think, 2 or 3 that are under construction that are going to be more than 1,000 homes, whether single family and townhomes. And so you see a lot more diversification of product than you saw before, but it's really the scale.
We've seen that change too, even in our lives. I mean, I'm born and raised here, so I've been here my whole life, and Greenville's changed, but I love the change. And then Heath got here in high school, and in the short, call it 10 or 15 years you've been here, it's drastically changed. So I can understand why y'all are very busy, but you mentioned you have 450 employees.
Yes.
That's a lot. So how do you guys maintain accountability and alignment across your whole entire firm?
Yeah. It's as we've grown, and I think as any organization grows, that becomes more and more challenging. You know, I'm blessed to have a great leadership team, and really the last few years we've invested more in our kind of corporate infrastructure, people-wise, as we in the past had some instances of more growth than expected. The pain was felt with accounting and HR, and wasn't so much the people in the field. You kind of can address that more quickly, but it takes time to hire and train, and maybe you've outgrown a system or
when some of those workflows, you've had your system for so long, and then whenever you're growing so much, those workflows don't really fit the equation as well anymore. And so you have to adapt, like you said. And I can see where that's very difficult.
Probably not going to be exciting for most people, but we just implemented, we're implementing, I think we'll finish actually today, June 30th, a new accounts payable product that's AI-driven. It's called Predict AP. And so a process that is essentially unchanged in our company for quite a long time, 20 years probably. I mean, there's been some minor adjustments here and there, but essentially it's the same process. And now this will, it will have some, won't need as many people, or there'll be a lot of efficiencies, and the accuracy. Ask me in maybe a month or two.
How that's going.
But
that's cool. It's cool to see AI integrations. I work as a software engineer, and so that's always on the front end. Just people, that's all everyone wants to talk about is AI. How can we use it for this? How can we use it for this?
It is,
and you need to use it somehow. But every business has its own unique way of using it.
If you're not trying to figure out what or how to apply that and utilize that, then you're going to be left behind. Probably it doesn't matter what industry it is, but certainly in mine it is.
Because the competition is.
And at some point you just won't be able to compete from a cost standpoint, whether it's on the fee side or the property operations
Gotcha.
side. I mean, there's, I think it's going to disrupt, or is disrupting a lot of how we do business.
AI, for sure, yeah. As a leader of such a large company, what are some of the daily practices that you've instilled, maybe at a young age, and you've continued, or maybe adapted and kind of taken on over time, but just some good daily practices to help get to your position as leading a giant company?
I'd say one that I'd say has been consistent as a practice for a long time is I'm a big fan of coming in, physically coming into the office on Sunday.
On Sunday?
For an hour. Usually get the mail from the P.O. box. That's another thing I picked up from my father. He loved to be the only one to go to the mailbox. And you sometimes see some things that it's good for you to see.
Yeah.
Although the amount of traffic coming to the P.O. box is not quite like it used to be. But, every now and then you'll see something like, I'm glad I picked up the mail today.
Yeah.
What were we talking about?
Just daily practices.
Yeah. So Sunday is when I come in and kind of download from the week prior and try to get organized for the week ahead.
Nice.
While there's generally nobody in, it's hard to do that at home with family and a dog. It's noisy, and so sometimes that's a Saturday. But I try to carve out at least a little bit of quiet time away from the noise to just think about the last week and the upcoming weeks.
And to branch off of that too, what does the balance look like between running a business, being a husband, having children? It's a lot going on.
Yeah, it's hard. My wife, Lisa, we're sitting here. She might have different comments or feedback. It's it's hard. I will say having a workaholic as a father. I really he would be 30 minutes late to get home for dinner on a Tuesday with the family, and then he'd go back to the office sometimes, or just depending on what was going on. He was a workaholic, so I I've always wanted to tamper it a little bit, and as he got older, that started to change, and he started to travel more with my mother as they were empty nesting, and so it's something that it's always a battle and a struggle. It's hard to. I would say it was harder years ago than it maybe is now or recently. It's helps to have kids that are not little anymore. So there's much less of that blocking and tackling. But nice. It's hard. So to me, there are certain aspects of work that just aren't work to me. They're fun, and so that's the part that is hard. That perception of you're just working all the time. I'd rather do this than I don't know whether it's reading an article or I don't know. It's kind of great. I like looking at numbers. I like to do more of my analytical work in the evenings where it's just looking at things. I'm not really doing anything. That doesn't feel like work. It is something that I'm not doing. It is consuming. So, it's just trying to have some boundaries of when to shut the phone off. That's really the whether it's my teenager or me. It's putting the phone down.
When this business, rooted in the Carolinas, your family's from here. Maybe generations, not quite sure on that. But when you think of leading a business in the Carolinas, building one up here in this community, and leading what I like to call the Carolina way, what does that mean to you? As in, when you see someone that's one day you're gonna have to hand the company off to somebody, what characteristics are you looking for to hand with that person that is one day leading the company?
We talked about work ethic earlier. Passion. You gotta really love it if you want to have any chance of success leading it.
If you're not enjoying what you're doing, it's hard to be really good at it.
And it's impossible to fake that, even if you're successful. We all know people that are highly successful that they're miserable because they're doing something that they're not passionate about. So, the whole Carolina way. I mean, look, I've never lived anywhere in South Carolina other than those 4 months in Madrid, Spain, 33 years ago. Yeah. So obviously I'm as South Carolina as they come. Nice. My wife is as well. We'll see about my kids. They both seem to like South Carolina as well. But, there's a reason why people are moving here. It's lifestyle and opportunity. Yeah.
The pace of living.
It's just different. And so, but on the flip side, I have many of our team that are from all over. So to say we operate in a, I don't know, I think maybe a little bit of whatever, a Southern way or South Carolina way is just, just be nice to people.
That's right. And we like that. Yeah. Is there a potential for the family business to carry into the third generation?
There's always that potential. Yeah. So I have two sons that are now in college or will be in college in a matter of weeks. So
nice.
Where are they headed?
My oldest, Preston, is a rising sophomore at the Citadel.
Okay, good. Great school.
Great school, which is where my father attended, and my mother's father, my grandfather on that side, where he graduated from, and that's I was also named for him. So I'm going to be the receiver of all the Citadel stuff in the family. And so now there's someone, he's the first in, I guess, since my dad's generation that went there. So that's kind of cool. And then my youngest, Harris, who is named for my father, he'll be going to Furman, alma mater.
Following his father's footsteps.
We'll see.
Very good.
We're very excited. So, that's to have two sons, one at the Citadel and one at Furman.
There's definitely potential.
Well, I wish my father were here. He passed in 2020, and he would have just thought that was the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, he'd be so proud.
Yeah, he would have just. We could have kind of had a good little family rivalry.
I love it.
Preston and my dad and and me and Harris, but we'll see what their path is.
Yeah.
I'd say future is always any options on the table.
That's right.
It'd be really cool to have one of them or both of them working with me and then taking it on. But if that's not what they
don't have a passion.
And
that's the best way to do it. My father told me the same for a long time. He said, if you want to be in this business with me and do it, great. If there's something else that you desire and would love to do, I will 100% support you in that. Yeah. So great way to look at it as a father who's running the business. Well, if they join you, it's a blessing. But
I know what they'd be signing up for, and and it was hard, being the boss's son early on, and for them it would be even harder.
Exactly. So, take it up a notch.
And I would say the one thing I will definitely not cave on is that they're going to go work for someone else in our business or industry or something related for at least 3 years before they can come work. And I'm not going to cave on that.
My dad had me do that 5 years. Best thing ever. And I give everyone that advice. If you have a child joining your business, have them work 3 to 5 years. It's the best. He told me 5 years. So it was 5 years last fall. Okay. I came knocking on his door and I said, will you please hire me? It's been 5 years. So
that's cool.
That's a great thing to do.
Yeah. Again, I regret not doing that. I wish my dad had put his foot down.
Yeah, and, it worked out.
Well, but who knows what might have happened you just never know.
That's right.
Sure. Well, we'll wrap it up here in a minute. I guess we're getting close to an hour, but how can listeners connect with you and learn more about your team if they're interested in following suit or maybe connecting with you?
Well, we have a very active presence on all, I think, your typical social media outlets. Nice. We have one of the benefits of having a little more size than we've historically had. We have a great marketing team that, that's the one area I have no creative abilities whatsoever. And
I can relate.
And so it's really cool to have people on your team that have these great skills and abilities that you don't have at all.
Yeah.
And so, Facebook, Instagram, we've done I'd say a much better job in recent years about just getting our name more out there and telling our story a little little more proactively, whether doing things like this. Or spotlighting, the projects that we're involved in, and when our people are doing doing
and
things.
then lastly, too, what is the one thing you hope that people take out of your story?
Man, you saved the hardest question. The one thing. Look, I'm been doing this 30 years. Whatever success I've enjoyed, it's all through. Just you got to be persistent, and especially as an entrepreneur, things go wrong all the time.
Yes.
And I'd say the persistence and just getting up every day and giving it everything you got. Just that will to win. I'm a pretty competitive person. That helps.
I'm getting out of this. Consistency is key.
Yeah, I mean, our story is really, it's not that sexy or not that remarkable.
It's just day in, day out, getting after it, yeah.
Our growth has just been slow and steady, and you tack on 3 decades, and, you can, proud of what we've accomplished and what we're going to accomplish, but it's really slow and steady.
Yeah. Well, cool. Well, I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation today, Taylor, so thank you for joining us.
This was fun.